It'll be Todd Stevens. He's on your right. You've got Donovan Lachney. He is on your left, even though he is under the weather.
Impeccably dressed as always.
Still very well dressed.
You can see it in the eyes a little bit. He's not feeling great, but if you look, neck down, you'd never know.
Yeah.
Never know.
It is true.
I like Todd's matchup here quite a bit. I think that if the game is played on the ground, on the battlefield, and is about creature combat and creature size, I think Todd's deck does it about as well as any deck I've seen in the tournament thus far.
Steven's going to shortcut a little bit here by sacrificing the Evolving Wilds. Going to get a basic out of his deck. Lachney did start things off with the Plains. He has a second Plains, and his play will be a Smuggler's Copter. Very used to seeing that, of course. Steven's number 9 on the SCG Tour Player of the Year race. He's looking to qualify for the Players' Championship. Has dedicated himself quite a bit to doing that here this year. We will head his way. It's a Plains and just a passing of the turn. Thalia's Lieutenant now in Lachney's hand. He will deploy that. Just a 1 right now. Pretty boring, but we know how much larger that creature can get.
Also, good enough for the crew.
Yep. Here comes the Copter. And there will be a draw and a discard here for Lachney in just a moment. And there goes an additional copy of the Copter. I suppose not great in multiple, so the first one is very, very good.
We have noticed that. The vehicles are definitely on diminishing returns. The second one usually quite a bit worse than the first one.
Stevens with a Prairie Stream that enters the battlefield on tap, given the 2 basics, and now just a passing of the turn. Reeks of a Spell Queller to me.
Having some flashbacks
to,
3 weeks ago, what have you?
I don't want to talk about it, man.
Okay. We don't have to talk
I
about
don't
it.
want to talk
We
about
never
it.
have to talk about it.
I got Spell Queller in the next week. Yeah, that totally happened. Copter coming in again. Thalia, Heretic Cathar will be discarded. It's a 3-man Inspector. You got Spell Queller something.
Yep.
Might as well be that.
Can't take it with you.
Yep. Follow-up. Harnessed Lightning.
Really good sequencing there.
Yep. There's a clue. There will also be a counter that's placed on the Lieutenant. Pass that turn back. It's a great start here for Lachney.
Yeah, Lachney could have just snapped off the Garrison there, for example, but definitely had Spell Queller on the radar. Chose a different route.
Well, here comes Collected Company. Oh, not quite. Tamiyo is going to come down. It's going to lock down the Smuggler's Copter and Thalia's Lieutenant. That's actually pretty nice.
If Lachney has land number 5, though, the Needle Spire just gets to take care of the Tamiyo, and it isn't worth a whole lot on the balance. Tamiyo is really good when the game's a little muddy, when there's a lot of creatures on the battlefield, and attacking and blocking is complicated. Because the plus power is great in that spot, and you can use the minus power over the course of several turns usually to close out some games. When you're behind, though, especially when you have no creatures, Tamiyo's not great.
It looks like Lachney will sacrifice the clue. Time to draw a card. Another copy of Thalia's Lieutenant's not bad. There's a land. Now here is the Garrison. Counter there. There's an attack here. Put the Tamiyo down to 1, pass the turn back. Had the ability to actually kill the Tamiyo there because he did have the land.
Yeah, my instinct there would have been just to knock out the Tamiyo. This is not a bad turn either. But when you get to take out a Planeswalker on the house, essentially, and still be way ahead on the table, this just feels a little dangerous to me. If Stevens has a good turn here and is able to plus the Tamiyo on some good blockers, then the board starts getting a little bit sticky, and it's possible Stevens can start pulling ahead with the Tamiyo instead of it doing basically nothing.
Aether Hub the land there for Todd. It's given an energy. Now the follow-up is a Reflector Mage. He's going to have to use an energy to cast that, I believe, with the way that he's tapped for it. Yep. So he should be up to 2 energy because he had to use the hub to play it. I think he just kind of mistapped there. So we will make sure that the count is correct. So these players will make sure that everything is correct here. Yeah, so he's down to 2 energy. There you are. See Steven's hand. He's got another copy of Tamiyo in hand. With the Tamiyo, he did a little plus action on the Servant of the Conduit, and I believe the Thraben Inspector.
Still a freebie for the Smuggler's Copter to take care of Tamiyo.
Correct. I think we may see that.
We saw a lot in Western Standard Season where decks like Bant Company could get ahead on the battlefield and start doing its thing against a deck like Humans. And Thalia's Lieutenant made it just not matter. The sizing of the creatures was such that even with a flooded battlefield, things just got way too big.
That's what Thalia's Lieutenants are trying to do here. Just make it so things like this do not matter. Thraben Inspector has now become a 2/3. The other Lieutenant, a 5/5. Two mana. There's Harness Lightning. Bye-bye Reflector Mage. Turn on the Copter. What I kind of like about Lachney's deck is, you know, he's more two drops, 3 drops, more than 1 drops like the Kiefers are. So he's able to play, I think, a little bit of a longer game.
Yep.
Because things are more impactful. You know, like the way the Kiefers have built their deck with Weapon Trainers and the Claws and all that stuff, they're trying to play, what, 5 turns? Like that. I think Lachney's a lot more comfortable kind of doing this.
So I wasn't a big fan of that attack that turn from Lachney, just giving Stevens all those cards at a relatively high life total. I would have just had the Smuggler's Copter take care of the Tamiyo and then go to the next turn.
That's just good enough for you.
Because, you know, Stevens got to chump block and got to peel 2 cards, and it's not like Lachney's advantage is a hammer lock on this game by any stretch. So I'm worried about Stevens being able to gum up the works here. If he has something like Declaration in Stone, he can get the Thalia's Lieutenants off the battlefield. Suddenly, he can start. I mean, he can start playing catch-up in a pretty big way. If he's got a way to answer the Smuggler's Copter, even if he has something like Sylvan Advocate, he starts locking up the ground.
Well, you said Declaration in Stone. That's here. So 2 counters there for, 2 clues there for Lachney. Uh-oh, 4 mana up.
No, we're good.
Yep.
Well, hold on. We're good.
Kind of glad those days are over, honestly.
It was cool for a little bit, and then it wasn't all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's how those things work. Not just in Magic.
Just in a general sense.
Right.
Gideon Ally is Zendikar, the draw there for Donovan. He's going to sacrifice a clue, draw a card.
Oh, he has it. He just drew the battlements.
Yeah, now he just needs the Garrison. Look at how excited you are. Actually, I think he's got the Garrison in hand.
Right. He just
Oh,
it got Reflector Maged.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
what a time to be alive.
He's setting it up.
Spell Queller. Yes. Yes. You thought something fun and flavorful was about to happen. Don't be stupid.
Yeah. Classic mistake.
Yeah. Just put that land in the graveyard, man.
Here's an attack on the Copter. No, there's no way we're moving on from the battlements now. Yeah, let the Needle Spires go.
Yeah. We're committed at this point.
We have to try to live.
We got to see this thing through.
Yeah, we have to try to live the dream.
Yeah,
Come
we
on
do.
now. There it is. Bang. Now that's a land. There's Handweird Battlements. Yeah, a heck of a land, too, if you can get it going. Get some creatures haste, and then we'll get to the meld part a little bit later. We only bring up the meld if it happens.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves
That's
here.
correct. I know this will surprise you, but Smuggler's Copter has been doing some really good work this game.
Yes, it has.
And the Gearhulk is going to try to play catch-up. See how Stevens wants to spread him. Virtuous Gearhulk is, well, it's a magic card. That's for sure.
That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, it is.
Relative to the amount of mana it costs.
Yeah. More news at 11.
Mm-hmm.
1 counter on the Gearhawk, 3 on the Spell Queller, it looks like here for Stevens.
So I think he wanted to at least have 2. Okay, all right, he's racing.
Risky business. Want a creature to be given haste? Ooh. You can activate Gideon and give it haste.
Yes, you can.
Thoughts?
Yes, you can.
I can get behind that.
And the Gear Hulk is not big enough to swallow.
Yeah.
My initial instinct, what Stevens was going to do, it depends on his hand, of course, but he was going to go 2/2. That meant his Spell Queller could be back on defense and block the Smuggler's Copter, even if Lachney made a Gideon emblem, and he would have a 6/6 on D as well. But it looks like Stevens wants to race here.
Might not be expecting Gideon game 1 either, for what it's worth.
Yep, certainly a possibility.
It's not so much a game 1 card from white-red. Pia Nalara good draw too.
But week 1, man, you just don't know what people are going to do.
Totally true.
They do everything.
Totally true.
Everything. Seen several Ghoul Steeds.
Everything.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You have no idea what these people are capable of. No idea whatsoever.
You do not know.
You don't know. We have now at this point going on 12 rounds of evidence. You just don't know what these people are going to do.
Here comes the Copta. There'll be a discard here from Lachney in just a moment, I believe, because he picked up a copy of Declaration in Stone. Just got to figure out what he wants to play, what he wants to discard, what's he going to toss away. All right, Thalia down. 3 damage dealt. Stevens down to 6, it looks like. I guess Stevens is going to try this racing plan, I guess. Maybe things change now.
I mean, he had an opportunity there to just hang back on defense if he wanted to and gum up the works, and elected not to. So
3 mana for Pia Nalar. I think this might change some things.
yeah, I mean, this is a pretty tough spot here for Stevens to try to race, given that he was already a little bit behind on the board, and now with Pia Nalar, he can't really pivot back and try to block. So that's going to be too complicated.
Plains the draw.
I mean, I guess with another Tamiyo in hand, his route is just Tamiyo, tap down your relevant stuff, bash you, untap, tap your relevant stuff, bash you, and hope that's good enough.
Stevens has 2 energy, 5/5 Gearhulk, 5/6 Spell Queller, and a couple cards in hand as he analyzes the battlefield here, try to figure out how to get through this.
Well, he needs to make sure that whatever he leaves back on defense, assuming that he's going to use Tamiyo and minus, is enough to be able to block out through the Pia Nalar. And there's a clue on the battlefield along with the Thopter. But Stevens is at 6. He's got a little bit of life to play with.
Boom. It's one way.
Yep. We do this. This is the way we do things.
Follow up. Tracker. Land. Tamiyo. Tap in 2 is something, I have to imagine. Inspector and Copter, perhaps? Yes? Yes.
No point in tapping the artifact because Lachney can convert that into a you can't block trigger.
Yep.
So that you want to leave that one behind. And you would much rather have Pia Nalar get involved in combat and leave the battlefield than the 2/3 Thraben Inspector. So I like that tap quite a bit. And you had to tap the Smuggler's Copter. It's just the best thing going on.
You gotta stop that nonsense. It's only gotten in like 5 hits this game.
I guess the counter argument there possibly is the Smuggler's Copter is something that Lachney can convert into a Pia Nalar trigger now. So
Yes.
Maybe it was more efficient to tap both the Thraben Inspectors, but that just seemed, I don't know. There's a lot of different things that Stevens could potentially play around here. I think what he did is ultimately right, but there is an argument for just leave the artifacts untapped as much as possible because Lachney has other things he can do with that if he has to kill you this turn.
See where Lash is going to go now, because he's got to weigh a lot of things here, because obviously Stevens is trying to race back now. But also, is there a good way for me to use my battlements this game? Looks like a Declaration in Stone. We'll take care of the Spell Queller. So now the battlements will come back. Did he want to pay for the battlements with that mana? Or the Declaration with that mana? Because now he kind of loses the ability to say, okay, I'm going to give my battlements haste.
Right.
Maybe that could have worked.
I mean, he's got a Gideon in hand, 4 mana left over, so maybe that's just the play anyway. But I agree, why tap that if you don't have to just yet? Unless you've already figured out your line, but it looks like Lachney, based on body language, has not figured out the line just yet.
Four mana. All right, there's Gideon. All right, how to use it? That's the question. There's the 2/2 Night Ally. Now the question is, are there any good attacks? I have to imagine there are some. It's like you kind of want to whittle away at the Tamiyo, I think.
I mean, at least getting it down to 1 feels significant to me, because then you aren't risking tap down another time.
We'll see where these creatures are attacking.
Okay. Looks like we have our split.
All right. One at Tamiyo, and now Pia's going right at Todd Stevens.
I don't know. I think I would have gotten the Thraben Inspector in the mix and just tried to knock the Tamiyo out. I think Lachney's board is overwhelming enough that he's going to have lethal next turn. It's very likely he does. And allowing Stevens to plus the Tamiyo, assuming it stays at 1 loyalty, draw some cards. I mean, he could easily cobble together the pieces to survive 1 more turn. Also, losing the PNLR opens up a lot of dimensions for Stevens to potentially be able to block next turn.
Mm-hmm. Almost just kind of want to trade the tracker with the Pia if you can.
The clue that that Lachney has in play, for example, is almost certainly more valuable on this board as 1 mana target creature can't block than as a clue.
Yep.
And now you're losing that as well.
Well, PNLR is going to stay out there. Tamiyo is going to fall down to 1. I think the plan there for Stevens, I think he has another Tamiyo in hand, was to be able to say, okay, my Tamiyo is kind of a 2 still. Tap 2 creatures, play another Tamiyo, tap 2 creatures, lethal you.
Yep.
That got blown up. Pretty big way there. So now is there a new plan?
I mean, it likely involves just drawing some cards via Tamiyo, attacking with the Gear Hulk you're likely to attack with anyway, and then seeing what develops.
Todd Stevens says, no more. I cannot do any more. Donovan Lachney is going to win game number 1 here over Todd Stevens. White-Red Humans up a game here over Bant Aggro as Lachney continues to dominate with his build of this deck. We're going to go to the sideboards here. And we will start with Stevens, who has 3 Negate, 3 Fragmentize, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Arborback Stomper, 2 Noose Constrictor, 2 Nissel Vital Force, and a Summary Dismissal. What do we like?
I think the Arborback Stompers and the Noose Constrictors here are really solid. Just cards that allow him to block and gain life and manage the battlefield a little bit better. I can also get behind the Fragmentizes as well, as Lachney's playing with quite a bit of artifacts.
For Donovan Lachney, we went over this, I think last round, not 2 rounds ago, excuse me, but we take a look at his sideboard again with the Savage Alliance, the Sky Whaler's Shot, a Ride Down, a Fragmentize of his own, 2 Selfless Spirit, 2 Always Watching, 2 Blessed Alliance, 2 Chandra, Torture Defiance, 2 Repel the Abominable, and a Singleton Stasis Snare.
I like the Stasis Snare. I like the Selfless Spirits. I like the Always Watchings in this matchup. I think, as we saw in the first game, this matchup is often just about the numbers on the battlefield, and Always Watching is huge in that sort of game. You could also talk me into the 1 copy of Savage Alliance. We saw Lachney bring in, I believe, against Jeff Hoagland earlier, and I have reason to believe it's better in this matchup than it was there.
Fair enough.
Excuse me, not against Jeff. He played against. We had him on day 2 where he brought it in a matchup where I thought it was a little shaky, and I think it's even better here.
Okay, gotcha. I can't remember the opponent either. It was to kick off the first round of the day. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, against the Ghoul Steed.
Yes, Ryan Hovis.
Right.
Yes.
Excuse me.
The Ghoul Steed himself, right.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. These players will shuffle up here for game number 2. Todd Stevens will be on the play, so we will learn more about him in just a moment. But let's talk about that Season 3 schedule here on the SCG Tour, where the New Jersey Invitational was won by Liam Lonergan, so congratulations to him. We'll see him at the Players' Championship later this year in Roanoke, Virginia at the Star City Game Center. A couple weeks later, we went to Richmond for our open weekend there, where Ted Felicetti started opening his lead for Season 3 to qualify for the Players' Championship. Orlando Open Weekend saw Brad Carpenter play catch-up and get his first SCG Tour Open victory. We're here in Indy, and 2 weeks from now, it's regionals.
And you can head over to go.starcitygames.com/regionals to find more information about regionals and find the regional championship closest to you. Then we go to Milwaukee for a Modern Open. Then through November, we go to Baltimore, Columbus, and Knoxville for a Legacy, Modern, and Standard Open. And then the Season 3 Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia, December 2nd through the 4th, Standard and Modern as the Invitational formats.
Of course, we do have playmats for everyone who does play in our events here on the SCG Tour, especially during Season 3. We got some pretty unique ones. So if you play in a Standard, Open, or Classic, Dark Salvation will be what you receive for entering those tournaments. Liliana kind of flexing her muscles. If we do a little bit of Modern action, it'll be Steel Overseer. We saw John Cuvier just 2 weeks ago in Orlando take this to a top 8 finish in our Modern Open. And then, since Ace Divine top, you of course think Joe Lissette and his Legacy dominance. You'll get that for playing in our Legacy Classics and Opens. All these playmats free and exclusive here during Season 3 of the SCG Tour. As we prepare for game number 2 here between Donovan Lachney and the little under the weather Todd Stevens. A little bit of a red face there.
Yep.
He's trying to hang tough.
A little bit of a sniffle.
Yeah.
Face looks a little worn down,
yeah,
more so than usual.
But still very handsome.
Yes,
Very
well
dapper,
dressed.
Very well dressed. We know a little bit more about the 30-year-old from Denton, Texas. 5 SCG Tour Open top 8s. Most of them have come this year. We saw him at the beginning of the year really hit the ground running. He does have a finals loss too. Lost to Tom Ross in the finals of our Atlanta Open during season number 2. He played Division I college tennis at Robert Morris University, a school that does a lot of esports scholarships now. Refuses to wear a hoodie or a pair of sweatpants, so even though he's sick, he'll still dress well.
Yes.
And he's a high school math teacher.
You learn a lot about people when they're not at their best.
Very true. Mm-hmm. It's very true. If I was him right now, I'd be hoodied up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be wearing some more clothing.
I'd be asleep.
Totally reasonable. Totally reasonable.
Just gotta see this one through the finish line. Couple more rounds. I'm sure Todd is just hoping I can crawl to X and 3.
Pretty much.
Top 8, and then I'll reassess once we get there.
You ever had a sick tournament? You ever been sick in a tournament? Yeah.
Yes. But when I was sick at tournaments, it was back in the day where nothing would have stopped me from playing in an event.
Yes, same. Here's a servant of the conduit. I remember Grand Prix Houston 2010. Mm-hmm. The allergies were really bad that day.
Yes, so when we go to Texas, you often struggle with your allergies.
It's really bad. It was my first time to Houston, so day 1 I had to decline a feature match, mm-hmm, and I had to wear this is my first adventure into nasal spray.
Ah.
How does anyone do that?
I have no idea.
That's painful. The conduit's going to come in here for 2.
A little surprised that Lachney kept in the apprentices on the draw for game 2, given how dominant Stevens is. I think Stevens just regularly outsizes Lachney.
On the ground,
and I'm just not interested in playing with Kurt Apes.
That's the first time you've ever said that.
I know. It's rare.
Yeah.
That shows you how strongly I feel about this.
It's not even oh boy. Spell Queller. How?
Okay.
Here's a Garrison. We're going to see how good this card is now.
Lector Mage is really good against it.
You like...
As we know. As we know.
Here's a Declaration Stone.
Okay.
That'll work just fine.
You know, it's all right.
The follow-up is a Sylvan Advocate, and Spellcaller will come across for 2. Hey, you've been really jonesing for a Reflector Mage this weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
You haven't really seen much of it at all. Chandra Torch of Defiance to draw.
I was not expecting this one to come in.
Yeah.
I think Stevens is able to go kind of wide enough with enough size on the battlefield that it's hard for Chandra to be a dominating presence. Have we had Chandra? Yes, we have. Ryan Overturf had it on camera day one.
Haven't seen much of her, though.
And it was excellent when he had it.
Very true. Lieutenants, plural. Counters on the way. Pass the turn back. Over to Stevens. He'll draw.
I believe Stevens' leftovers here are Virtuous Gearhulk, another Declaration Stone.
I've seen worse.
Yep. Going to be going on to game number 3
oh, you're going to call
in
it.
a moment.
You're going to call it.
I'm calling it.
Okay.
We're ringing the bell.
He's calling it, folks. Smuggler's Copter the draw. Not so good right now.
I think it's Chandra time.
Here she comes. I would not plus.
Yeah, we go downstairs here.
Probably take care of the Advocate. It's probably the best of the bunch.
Seems like the best to me. Although maybe if Lachney feels like he can manage the ground, then Spellcrawler's the one. But
all right, Spellcaller down. Needle Spires, kick it back. Stevens will draw. We're going to go Gira Hulkin. Land is Evolving Wilds. Stevens will sacrifice that. He does have 1 energy left over there for the Servant of the Conduit. I guess there's also a question. Well, I'd be surprised if Gearhawking this turn wasn't the best play.
yeah,
Card's just too powerful.
it's just a question of the spread. Because you want to diversify a little bit against a Declaration of Stone, but you also want to make sure that enough of your threats are outside the range of the red removal that Lachney might have as well. Stevens could also just wait a turn. You just attack this turn and get him 2.
I was kind of thinking that, but, you know, it just seems weird to wait a turn where you can just deploy a 4/4 and put 4 counters on something and finish off Chandra and just say go. I definitely thought the same thing. It just seems like this is just way better.
Yep. Well, it's a little bit of a spew in terms of damage. That probably doesn't matter a whole lot.
Yep.
And it's definitely worse if Lachney has sided into randomly has Fumigates in his board, which seems unlikely.
Yeah.
But it's a lot worse in that case.
The way I was kind of looking at it too is, you know, I just don't think that Lachney has very much because he's played a Chandra to kill something, and he knows it's going to die.
Yep.
You know, so it's kind of waving the white flag, saying I don't really have much going on.
I think this line of play is fine. It's likely the best one. I like the fact that he's got 2 5/5 creatures to get out of the range of a future Chandra. He's saved his 2 most valuable creatures. Spread a card onto the Servant of the Conduit just to have a little bit of more diversity.
3 mana. It's Valiant. And a Copter. Stevens will draw.
Please raise your hand. Once again, Legacy Players, that's time.
So many Deccan Stones. Oh, Fragmentize too. Just the world.
Has it all.
Yep. The world. Kill everything. Fragmentize on screen. Yeah, I think. So Stevens cast Fragmentize and then looked at the top cover's library. I think he may have thought it's Scryed.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the 1 mana discard spell Scries.
Yeah. Harsh scrutiny.
I mean, this is...
It's obviously a mistake.
It also...
He is, yeah, this is going to make him shuffle really
all right,
quick.
I'll shuffle, and now I'll attack you for
I'll
lethal.
kill you for, yeah. The flu game.
Yep. Well, now this is the flu game.
This third game is the flu game?
Right.
Okay. Oh, I guess I'll scry.
It has to count for it to be the flu.
I don't know, I guess I'll scry. Well, that's not on the card.
Yep. Come on, Todd. This is a little longer,
Yeah,
man.
Just
a little longer.
Hold it together a little longer there. He is noticeably red in the face. I will say that.
This is an impressive performance here.
Yeah. He does win game number 2 here.
Tapping his mana wrong, scrying on the cards that don't let you
scry.
scry.
Yeah. Game 3 going to be coming up here between Stevens and Lachney in just a moment. See the sideboards that are available here for both players.
And if I'm Lachney, I'm sort of just looking to have a good curve and play with the good creature removal and not mess around with anything else. I'm really skeptical of Chandra in this matchup, in particular.
On the play, sure. On the draw, no thanks.
Even on the play, it's because he's already got a fairly top-heavy curve. I mean, these 4s are competing with other 4s, like Gideon, for example, and I just don't think Chandra is as reliably as good as Gideon is in this matchup.
Well. These players will shuffle up here for game number 3. Donovan Lachney will be on the play here for game 3 with his white-red humans deck. We'll talk about Invitational Champion now. He won our last Invitational. That's, of course, Liam Lonergan. And for that, he got $10,000, an invite to the next Pro Tour, an invite to the Players' Championship. Oh, and this right here, a little Elf Warrior token, his likeness on a card. And a couple of ways to go about getting this really sweet token done by Andrea Radak.
Well, if you can head out to the SCG Tour and participate in any of the Opens or Classics, you will get this token. And if you can't make it out to one of our large events, any order from StarCityGames.com, $5 or greater, will be shipped out with this token all the way through, let's call it a week or two after the Atlanta Invitational in December. So you got some time. This dovetails nicely with the sale.
It does.
It does. You can place an order, which you were going to do anyway, and then receive this token for free.
Combo.
That's
a combo right there, folks.
That's synergizing and marketing, which is something I'm very passionate about.
Yes. It is basically your favorite thing.
Right. That is something I'm really passionate about, exploring marketing synergies. Anywho, head out to the SCG Tour, place an order from the website, get this token
Congratulations
for free.
To our New Jersey Invitational Champion, Liam Lonergan. We will see him at the Players' Championship later this year. Patrick, just one now.
Get your one.
Just one here for Donovan. No more than that. Quick pile shuffle. You excited for Noodles and Company later today?
Can't wait.
Great answer.
Cannot wait.
Cannot imagine that's truthful, but great answer.
Well, I'm a little run down as well. Not quite to the extent that Todd was. That's about a week ago for me.
Okay.
So a little chicken soup will do well. And since
Good for the soul.
since I'm feeling particularly indulgent, I will also get the small buttered noodles.
That's the most you item of all time. By the
Yeah,
way.
I know.
Like if I had to look at the menu and decide, okay, what would I order for Patrick in the dark? Plain with a side of plain.
Right.
Coming right up.
What are the items with the least?
Yeah. Yet it still makes no sense that your favorite bagel is an everything bagel.
I'm starting to move off of that.
You off of that?
Not totally off of it. I get it from time to time, but it's not the default anymore.
But you don't order a plain bagel.
No, I do. I do more onion bagels now.
Ugh. Doesn't sound good at all.
Well, shows what you know, I guess.
A plane's here for each player. We'll pass the turn back. I love onions. I just don't know if I want that in my bagel.
You're missing out.
Inspiring Vantage. There's Athalia's a tenant. Over to Todd Stevens we go. There's the hub. Energy on the way. I'll scry one, I guess. I'll pass.
I'll loot.
Yeah. Here's a planes for Donovan.
Shuffle your deck.
Sure. Stevens, for those wondering home, he did get a warning for scrying at random.
Yeah. Just scoping out the top card of his deck while he was attacking for lethal.
Oh, Thalia is a real deal here.
Yes.
This card feels underplayed to me.
Well, I worry if there's an uptick in red removal and the presence of red in general, just more shocks floating around, that could be bad news. And just a lot of it also depends on mana-based construction. There's some formats where this is going to be more problematic than others, but could also see more play.
And there's some real relevant text on this card. Todd Stevens is looking at Evolving Wilds. That's a non-bow with Thalia.
Yeah, that's not great. This is not great.
Not good. Energy here for Donovan. We'll see what the follow-up is here for him.
Clearly got Spell Queller on the radar.
Yeah, as he should. Though it will enter the battlefield tapped if it does get cast here by Stevens. All right, beatdowns. Beatdowns. In for 5, 3 of which is first strike. It just feels right to have Thalia and her lieutenant
That does feel right.
just given the business. There's Smuggler's Copter. And Stevens got a little something here. He's going to use the energy, play a negate on the Copter. Pass that turn back. We'll head Todd's way. He'll draw. Picked up a Plains for the turn. 2 mana. Declaration Stone will take care of the Thalia. Clue on the way. Follow-up is Evolving Wilds. Ah, yes, out from underneath the lock. That's important. You know, that's a big deal. There's a hub, second energy here for Lachney. Cruiser? Cruiser Bruiser. Follow-up, Nerd Ape. Trigger.
Good looking turn.
Yeah. Here's an attack for 8. Stevens down to 5. Oh, boy. Evolving Wild, sacrifice that.
And Lachney's leftovers, I believe, are Declaration Stone and Stasis Snare.
I've seen worse.
So Todd needs to have Fragmentize and not Scry,
That's step 1.
and then some blockers.
And a few less Spell Quellers. There's a hub. Energy. Oh, okay, he's actually got a pretty good one there. Stomper.
Okay.
Gain 5 life, go to 10. Seen worse turns. Lachney will untap.
Attention, Legacy players. Pairings
Lachney will
are
draw.
for round 4 are going up.
I think a 3, but Inspector may have been the draw.
Pairings.starcity.com. Once again,
Yep.
pairings for round 4.
Counter on Lieutenant, Clue on the way. Look at all that synergy.
A lot of small interlocking pieces in the deck.
I'm saying that a lot
Humans
this weekend.
matter meets artifacts matter.
Yep. Want to crack the Clue. Want to cast Deck and Stone. Going to start by cracking the Clue, it appears. Yes. Draw card. Mountain. Deck and Stone. Crew. Gonna need a little bit. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, there you go.
too heavy.
Yeah. Gonna have to crew a little bit heavier than that.
Too heavy.
There we go. That'll be an attack for 9. Stevens, I believe, at 1. Yep. Tamio? Hi, not you.
Not a huge fan of Tamio on the draw here.
I think it's all right. He's able to accelerate into it.
Well, I think some might be all right. Stevens' hand currently contains 3.
That's a few too many. A few too
That's
many.
a lot of those.
Yeah.
A lot of those.
Well, he did say he liked it a lot in the format.
Yeah, no kidding.
That did happen.
Story checks out.
All I can tell you is what he told us.
A couple seconds before we had those online, so Legacy Classic players, please take the time.
Energy down, Tamio in.
Their pairing online. They are also about to be
He's at
posted
1?
in the back right corner of the room on
I don't.
Todd is really battling here. It's just
To say the least. All right.
dead on the table and still just battling on.
I'll attack for 1. All right, you win.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I can appreciate it. Maybe he wouldn't see it. Pretty
Okay.
likely that Donovan would see it, given he's 11-0.
Okay.
But totally fine. Make him kill you.
All right. Well, all right. 12-0. Awesome start.
Lock it in.
Probably lock for top 8 at
What
this
do you mean,
point.
probably?
Yeah, locked.
Locked.
12-0. Lock it up. Todd.